The Royal Rumble is over. It's done. You're never going to get it again until 2027. It made me laugh out loud because some people are super mad that Roman Reigns, an established guy, won the Royal Rumble on the men's side. And last year, the same people were mad that Jey Uso, he's not a main event dude. Why is he winning the Rumble? So we just got a lot of madness. It does not mean it was a perfect show. I have things I liked, I have things I didn't like, and that's what we are going to talk about today. Before we do get into it, please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe, and check out some other content while you are here. We upload videos every single day, and there's patreon.com/simonmillermedia316 where we do watch-alongs as well. Maybe we'll do a watch-along to the Royal Rumble in a few weeks too. Otherwise, put on your critical hats and your nerd glasses. Let's go. So we'll go through it one by one, just because it's so hard to review the Royal Rumble. If you'd like to see a mess of a show, make sure you check out my ups and downs over at What Culture Wrestling, where I freelance for, do the reviews. You try and talk about everything, but it's impossible. So here, we're going to do our sit-down, chill chat, and I'm just going to give you my initial thoughts, or my deep thoughts, I suppose, because it's been a few hours now. The Women's Royal Rumble, I thought, started not slowly. There just wasn't enough eliminations. I'll use the same analogy that I did. When you watch an Iron Man match, the reason some people don't like it when there aren't any falls is because they've told themselves beforehand their expectations are, well, I get to see loads of falls now, and moves that don't usually get 3 counts will get 3 counts, because wrestling is silly. And we just waited way too long until we got the eliminations in the women's one. But really, when Rhea Ripley got in there, and Io Sky and Asuka and Kairi Sane and some other people who I've forgotten now, and I'll kick myself for later, good grief did they pick up the pace. Like, Rhea Ripley, I thought, was the MVP of the whole thing. She was just desperate for war. When Io Sky got thrown out, I think Lash Legend threw her out, and Rhea Ripley got her mad face on, when her and Lash Legend whooped each other's ass. And Lash Legend at one point just went, you're gone, everybody's gone. So we should push her as well. Maybe this was a tease of a Lash Legend Rhea Ripley match. If you build it right, I've got no problem with that. But they really started slamming into each other. And around that time, you also had Asuka accidentally being knocked out by Kairi Sane. I think Rhea Ripley was trying to take out Asuka, who was holding onto the ropes in the most uncomfortable way possible. And Kairi Sane was like, no, I'm going to help you. And she totally screwed up. And of course, she was so surprised she also got eliminated. That's good stuff. As with the Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss stuff, same kind of deal. They were number 1 and 2. Not entirely sure they should have just been friends or allies of convenience and act like they were going to throw the other person out. But ultimately, Nia Jax was trying to eliminate Alexa Bliss, and Charlotte flew in to help her friend, and she accidentally knocked Alexa Bliss to the floor. The execution wasn't exactly what it was, but you saw what they were going for here. This is actually the best thing about the Royal Rumble. It's not who wins, it's the surprises, which there was a distinct lack of, which I thought was a massive shame, but it's also these subplots. So now you can probably say, okay, maybe we are going to do something with Asuka and Kairi Sane at WrestleMania, or they're going to break off into something different. We are definitely, I would guess, doing Charlotte Flair versus Alexa Bliss, so I really like that too. And you had all the stuff with Natty, because she threw out Becky Lynch after Becky Lynch threw out Maxine. I don't think that Maxine Dupree should stay in the IC title picture. I think she should go elsewhere. I presume we're doing Becky Lynch versus Natty, which should be good, because if Becky Lynch turns up with her working shoes on and Natty's allowed to be the wrestler she has been outside WWE, that could be awesome. And yes, we absolutely tied a rocket to Lash Legend. I think it's probably going to be her and Nia Jax taking on the Bellas, for reasons we'll get to in just one second. And I like Nia Jax a lot. I think she gets a hard deal by some people. Lash Legend needs to be a singles wrestler, right? I think that's what we proved here. But yes, the biggest surprise of the night was number 29, Brie Bella. I'll talk about it. I've talked about everything I've talked about today. Can't handle the theme. The theme music. It's been 10 years. But primo, that's what happens. That's what my body does. It makes me go like this, like I'm turning into one of the things from The Last of Us. Great for Brie Bella. It was nice she was back. She got a massive pop, and I think the crowd was loud. I just think it was mic'd terribly. But it was Lash Legend and Nia Jax that threw out Brie and Nikki Bella, so I presume we're going to do that tag team match. Fine by me. I got no problem with that. I think the more love we can have for all the divisions would be good. But yeah, it was just the start of the thing. I was like, come on. Come on, let's pick this thing up. But yes, when you got to that latter end, I thought it was awesome. And you had Liv Morgan knocking out Raquel Rodriguez. That was cool. Liv Morgan totally gets her character. She laughed at Raquel like, ha, 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 ha. And Roxanne Perez, by that point, or soon afterwards, was going to get absolutely murked by, I think it was Rhea Ripley. I think she was the person that got just hurled to the outside. So I hope she's okay. This won't be the end of the Judgment Day, because this is exactly what Dominic Mysterio did with Finn Balor, and it continued, but it should be the planting of the seeds. Unless WWE does want to go full in tomorrow night on Raw, no problem with that whatsoever. But I think Raquel should beat Stephanie Vaquer for the women's title. Just do Raquel versus Liv at WrestleMania. It's not going to be the main event, for better or for worse. So just make it pure story and a reason to break up a group that has been around for 4 years now? If not a little bit shorter, maybe a little bit longer. And Liv Morgan winning was the right thing, as we have got here. Raquel Rodriguez is not going to go babyface, even though Liv Morgan was kind of acting like a heel. But this should be the pathway to her becoming a babyface and winning that championship. It was happening anyway before she left with her shoulder victory. So she was the right winner, especially because Bianca Belair was not a surprise. That surprised me immensely. So I hope she's okay. She doesn't need my sympathy or my worry, but that broken hand, or unless there's something else going on, must be terrible. She's been out almost a year, so just all the positive vibes to Bianca Belair because she is massively missed from the women's division. But as soon as we got through 30 people and there was no Bianca, I was like, given the people that are left, you got to give it to Liv Morgan. And of course, it was Sol Ruka and Tiffany Stratton and Liv who were the final three. Sol Ruka, I thought, looked awesome. She should be called up. Who else did I think should be called up during this match? I can't remember now, but Sol Ruka absolutely should just be on the main roster tomorrow. Why she needs to stay in NXT, I do not know. I swear, they're all fighting on the ring apron, and I swear Sol Ruka decided, well, I'm going to do a Soul Snatcher. And Tiffany Stratton was like, nope. She then turned her back on Liv Morgan, who kind of gave her a version. It wasn't really the Oblivion. I think I'm exaggerating. It was just a move, and Liv Morgan won. Everybody was down to this. There was a lot of negative points that social media went crazy over. I've not seen one person go, Liv Morgan shouldn't have won the Rumble. So sometimes obvious booking is best. I did like it, though. I just thought there was a lot of eliminations where I was like, I'm so confused by why that person got eliminated in the way that they did. Jordan Grace, for example, was kind of just a meh, okay, we'll just move on to something else. And she's going to be taking on Jade Cargill, it feels like to me. Is that going to be the WrestleMania match? I mean, maybe so. I mean, if it is Liv versus Raquel or Liv versus Stephanie, because WWE's been teasing that too, either or is totally fine. Or maybe a triple threat match. They love their multi-persons. Is it then going to be Jade versus Jordan Grace win the Elimination Chamber? Wouldn't mind that, actually, because that would put a good rubber stamp on you should care about this person. But I honestly thought the second half was good. And at the end, when everyone was being tossed out, I mean, it didn't really give you any sort of insight into who could be fighting who at WrestleMania. But, well, I think maybe it's going to be Rhea Ripley and Io Sky in a tag match, because they are the champions. And again, Rhea hit her rage button when Io Sky got thrown out of there. But I guess Brie Bella and Tiffany Stratton and number 30, because we haven't seen her in a while. But again, if you really want to get super critical, it did kind of feel undercooked for some reason. Good she got to the final three. I don't think it's going to be Sol Ruka versus Tiffany Stratton at WrestleMania, although it could be. Not the worst match in the world. There are some parallels there. Although Tiffany Stratton would have to go back to being a heel if that was the case. I don't think Sol Ruka would be a bad guy, but although they have been teasing that down in NXT. I thought it was good, though. I think from the second half onwards, the Women's Royal Rumble got super duper whooper fun, and it has given you a wink and a nudge as to what could happen at WrestleMania. And that's what you always want it to be. I hate doing this because I think comparison is the thief of joy. Gun to my head, I actually think I enjoyed the women's more than the men's. But that's only because I didn't think either of these were bad. A lot of people are like, oh, it's the worst Royal Rumble match ever. It wasn't, man. Go back to some of the one in the mid-90s, you'll be pulling teeth. But I just thought there were more oddities in the men's match, which is what we're going to get into. Whereas the women's, like I say, slow-paced, but when they found their feet, I thought, oh, wow, I'm really enjoying myself here. This is really, really good. And after a while, you knew Liv Morgan was going to win. And there is something to that as well. You expect something, then you get it. It makes you feel good. So from my vantage point, would I ever go back and watch it again? Debatable. But I thought they did a really good job. Right winner. I've not got a problem with it. Right into AJ Styles versus Gunther after this. I mean, AJ Styles is done with WWE. I'm going to make that prediction. And it happened on match 2 of a Royal Rumble card. I think there may be more behind this. And again, we're entering nerd territory here. So let's put our nerd caps on as always. And remember that. We could be totally wrong. And that's fine. It's wrestling. It's a soap opera. It's a movie. We're going to make guesses about the sequel. And if we get it, if we make a mistake, it doesn't matter at all. The match itself was brilliant. Gunther is a flipping brilliant professional wrestler. AJ Styles is just one of a kind. I'm going to gush a little bit here, although actually I think we're going to see him wrestle again. Without AJ Styles, we don't have whatever wrestling is today. There are so many people wrestling right now because they were directly influenced by AJ Styles. He's been working so long. He was in WCW. The stuff he did in TNA was unparalleled. They never treated him right. His New Japan run was absolutely goated. And the fact he walked into WWE, even with management going, or Vince McMahon going, oh, you know, I don't really understand this guy. Was he two-time world champion? Won all these other belts, could have won a Royal Rumble and never did, but nobody would have minded that. One of the best wrestlers ever. And in terms of in-ring, if you want to tell me he is the best, I don't think I'll argue with you. I really, really don't. I think a lot of the time, I've never seen him have a bad match. And the only time he has a quote-unquote bad match is because our expectations are so high and AJ Styles doesn't quite get there. And so we judge AJ Styles because he didn't have the best match of the year. That's how good he is, right? He really, really is. And in this match, it really felt like he was retiring because good grief. The Pele kick or the overhead kick, whatever we call it, was so good. He threw so much into it. And they'd quite clearly had the conversation backstage. We're going to kill each other, right? Because they were just laying it in. Some of the chops. Gunther threw him, I think it was when he threw him on the floor, and AJ Styles' arm was bleeding. It was a fantastic match. And it kind of made me believe that he wasn't going to retire, and that's where WWE and Gunther and AJ Styles deserve all the credit. I didn't know. I genuinely had no idea. And it made the near falls feel like near falls. Every 1-2, I was like, oh my gosh. And that's why Jeopardy is so important, which I thought was lacking in the Drew Sami match. Again, we'll get to in a minute or so. I loved this match, and even the finish was fine. Not necessarily at the time, but then what AJ Styles did afterwards. I mean, if you're going to have Gunther win, it was the way to do it. He locks on the sleeper. AJ Styles got out a couple of times by just punching him or elbowing him in the head. He also hit a springboard 450 in that phenomenal forearm Styles Clash combo. So many good near falls. Some of the best near falls in ages because the stakes were so damn high. But essentially, Gunther does what he always does. Locks him in the chair. He low blowed him at 1.2. I think that's right. Too much in my brain. But he couldn't get out of the sleeper. AJ Styles was dead, right? His brain had run out of oxygen. The ref was like, I think I better touch his hand. It wobbles down to the floor. So no tap out like John Cena. AJ Styles had just, again, run out of air. Your body's like, yeah, you need to breathe, dude. So Gunther wins. But yes, after this, AJ Styles took his gloves off. And he's going to leave them in the ring. But he puts them back on, does the P1 side, and he does some two sweeting. His contract's up next month, or in February, a couple of weeks. Maybe he is going to go to an AEW, a New Japan, or a TNA. And why the flub not, right? Because what I think sometimes, when you have the big ceremonial retirement, which this wasn't, by the way, people were obviously shocked, and I was shocked at home when we felt the emotion towards him. But it wasn't like when John Cena went, you had the big hoopla. Even after when Ric Flair went, you had a big hoopla, and that was weeks and months of story building into that. If all of a sudden he did pop up in an AEW, again, New Japan or TNA, to fight a Frankie Kazarian, a Kenny Omega, who's in New Japan that he had wars with? I mean, there's so many people, he's been around so long. I don't think there would be the same backlash, ironically, to that at all, because this was not the way that AJ Styles goes out. You need a big flag-waving ceremony. And also, I understand it's all tribalism. Who could get mad at AJ Styles for doing this? Like, he is going to be 60 years old, as we all are. He doesn't want to look back and go, oh man, why didn't I just do it? Go and do it. If the opportunity is there, he can have 5 matches in AEW, 2 matches in New Japan. Maybe it's just AEW. Maybe he just wants to fight some of his friends one last time before he retires. And if anybody has deserved such an accolade, it's AJ Styles. So I'm going to keep my fingers crossed this does happen. And if not, I'll do a big gushing speech for him in a couple of weeks or so. But it just changed my emotional tract when it came to AJ Styles, because that's a very, not an odd thing to do. It's a very specific thing to do. Take my gloves off. Nope. Nothing was left in the ring. And I know there was a bunch of stuff in the post-press conference with Triple H and Pete Rosenberg. Who the flub knows what's going on? They can say whatever the hell they want to say, and AJ Styles can do whatever the hell he wants to do. As a fan, I hope if he has planned to retire in 2026, we get a bunch of these matches, because it's more AJ Styles. And if you're a fan of the man, doesn't matter where he works. Great match, though. Really, really good. One of my highlights of the night. I was so into this because it had real emotion to it, right? And that's what you want from wrestling. No notes. Go do it again. Drew McIntyre versus Sami Zayn was fine. I'm being way too unfair there, because once again, they really laid it in, and having Sami Zayn have this back problem, which Drew McIntyre took advantage of. Awesome white noise avalanche off the top rope. But I just never believed it. That was the problem. I never thought Sami Zayn was going to win. And listen, you could be totally different. This was just my vantage point. I hope that you did have a different take. But I just think if you weren't able to trick your brain and trick your body that Sami Zayn had a chance, it just kind of felt like Drew McIntyre beating up Sami Zayn. And I think I'm being unfair here, so I'll hold my hands up. But it was still a world title match at the Royal Rumble. And because the Royal Rumble is considered such a big pay-per-view, I'm not saying you expect more. Sometimes you can just try stuff and it doesn't click. But again, to contradict myself, it was still awesome. Like, it was a really, really good match. They have great chemistry. They've got story. Sami never lost in Saudi Arabia, wants to become the world champion, can't beat Drew McIntyre. I think eventually this year, as we've talked about, Sami Zayn will win the world championship. But my issue here is I have nothing else to say about it. Some really cool stuff. I enjoyed the fact that Drew McIntyre went and finished with Crazy, hit him with, was it 2 or 3? But a lot. But he thought he had him beat. He was like, no, this guy's too resilient. I got to hit him again. And I like stuff like that. It puts over Sami Zayn. And it makes Drew McIntyre look a bit like a killer. They just had a really, really good, hard-hitting, decent match. But yeah, like I say, because I couldn't buy into this idea that Sami Zayn is going to do it, because I talked about this on the predictions, I don't think it's the right time to do it. I think the right time to do it would be now, moving forward at some point within the next 6 months, because Sami Zayn does have this to hold on to. Like, man, one last shot. Maybe he puts his career on the line, then Gunther turns up. What? Did somebody say a career? It was good, but we're never going to talk about it again. I'd be intrigued to see what you thought about this one. Comments. Right. Men's Royal Rumble. I'm going to forget so much, so forgive me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to speed this. I'm going to tell you the things I didn't like. Otherwise, I forget about them. The Obafemi elimination was not for me. Loved the fact that he came in number 1. He threw out 5 people so quickly, but 2 of those was Matt Cardona and Rusev, who must have been like, why did I make this trip? There is no reason that we can't do more with Rusev, no reason we can't do more with Matt Cardona. So that kind of tore me right down the middle. Like, some people have to be fodder, and it has to be people with names. But it just felt a little bit odd. But it's the way that Obafemi got thrown out. Like, he had an awesome start and then didn't really do anything, which is not his fault. He's booked to do this. When Brock Lesnar gets in, they continue to do the tease. Eventually, they do fight off. Brock Lesnar throws him around. Eventually, Obafemi does knock him down. Then from nowhere, Brock goes, nope, and he throws him out. Now, this will probably lead to Brock versus Oba at WrestleMania. I can't believe Brock Lesnar would win that match. But I just thought it felt a bit drab, which is the second time I've used that word. I just kind of think that given that Gunther was in the final 2, and given that Roman just chucked Gunther like he was nothing, and right now I think we should be protecting Gunther given what we have given him, Obafemi should have gone number 1 to at the end, and Roman can throw him out, because again, Gunther's on a tear right now. He could actually be sold as one of the most dangerous people in all of WWE. Whereas Obafemi is just finding his way, so you need to give him everything. So even though he doesn't win the Royal Rumble, he comes this close. It's Roman Reigns, like the number 1 dude, the tribal chief that throws him out. Just didn't get it. So I didn't like that. So then also the way Brock got thrown out, Jey Uso's music was playing. And Cody and LA Knight just chucked him. I'm like, well, you're not going to do anything with Brock Lesnar. I think the person that throws Brock Lesnar out has to have a program with Brock Lesnar, as I lose the ability to speak. But nobody was even paying attention. Now, some people have had meltdowns about this. I just thought it was hilarious. It made me laugh out loud. But by a similar token, Cody Rhodes then disaster kicked LA Knight out of there. And LA Knight's big return felt a bit like, oh, okay, well, what's he going to do? Because he's not going to do an LA Knight versus Cody Rhodes program. So it felt a lot like, who can we get to throw out popular people that's not going to cause us a problem? And of course, Cody and LA Knight are stars, so they can throw out Brock. Like Randy Orton threw out Javon Evans. I thought Javon Evans was brilliant in this match. And I watched the Royal Rumble with people that don't watch wrestling. They all love Javon Evans, which kind of summed it up. But Randy throwing him out, it's like a foolproof way. No one's going to get too mad because everybody loves Randy. So there were just so many eliminations like that where I was like, what? Why did we do that? Even the arrival of Powerhouse Hobbs. Having the name Powerhouse Hobbs when someone then got like some paint and scrolled it over on the Titantron. So it said Royce Keys. Not going to get mad about the name. Even if his name was Pinochle Brown, I wouldn't get worried about it. Like, it's just... Oh, I hit my microphone. It's a name. We had a guy called Dolph Ziggler who became the world champion. I'm not going to fret it. Also, I think it ties into his family, so I'm backing right off that. Good for Powerhouse Hobbs. I will call him accidentally by a while. I just didn't think it was the right place to debut him. Listen, maybe it was louder in the arena, but it didn't come across on screen like he got a mega pop. I don't know how popular AEW is in Saudi Arabia. I am now repeating things I've said 3 times on social media and videos, but I think it should be down to the promoter, and this goes for all companies. Where can we introduce this guy? Let's look at the calendar. Where can we introduce them so they get the most noise? Because that noise then translates to people who don't know who you are, say WWE fans that only watch WWE, so they can be like, oh, wow, this is so cool. Who's this guy? Should be interested. So I love the fact he's there. All the best to him, and all the best to Tommaso Ciampa and AEW, who won the TNT title that I thought was badass. But that made me go, ugh, because he was the only real surprise as well. Not mad that Chris Jericho wasn't in it, more for me for being on my high horse. He's definitely going to be in it. I should learn a lesson from that, and I'll definitely try to. But we came up with that expectation, and you can't get mad that your own expectation weren't reached. So there was a lot of strange stuff in the Royal Rumble that I'm not even probably thinking about right now. There's also something that was badass. And that is how we got rid of Bron Breakker, right? The 2 people I had down to win the Rumble was Bron Breakker and Roman Reigns. If Bron Breakker wasn't going to win, then he may as well have been put in an angle like this because it's way more interesting than... I guess you could argue he could have had that Obafemi spot I just talked about. But essentially, he's number 2 because he's definitely meant to be number 1, and WWE screwed that up on SmackDown. When a hooded man, because again, it's a pay-per-view, we must have hooded gentlemen on all pay-per-views, runs in, stomps him, throws him in the ring, Oba's like, all right, I'll chuck you out, and he does. Cool for Obafemi. Now, there's 2 specific ways you can take this. One, it was likely Austin Theory, who, as we have predicted before, is secretly working with Seth Rollins, and this is him taking out the Vision, which will be the cool story, right? I'm down for that. Or it's Logan Paul, which is your out-of-nowhere fantasy booking, and that really, that's why he was so adamant, like, oh, we definitely should have Brock Lesnar. We should definitely have Bron Breakker win at the Rumble, because it was a ruse, right? And actually, they're going to kick Bron Breakker out of the Vision. I don't see that one, just because you need to do the Seth Rollins match, and if Bron Breakker's on the outside, he'll be like, you speared me, dude, and you convinced the rest of them But I like the guesses. I think it's fun. And I think the reason we did this is because we now know Seth Rollins is going to be healthy at Mania. I say we know. I'm talking about speculative world. So WWE has decided, well, we can do Bron Breakker versus Seth there, which makes sense. Roman Reigns win, because we do Roman Reigns versus CM Punk. And of course, it's going to be Drew McIntyre versus Jacob versus Cody, because Cody got eliminated when he was teetering, was about to get back in the ring when Drew McIntyre appeared, and he claymored him out the ring and was like, haha, you now can't face me. And of course, Cody will win the Elimination Chamber. Jacob for 2 then got thrown out by Roman. I think it was Roman, because he was distracted by all this. He was looking at Drew McIntyre. That's your 3-way. And I think as long as Bron Breakker beats Seth Rollins, this is totally fine. Bron Breakker can then win Money in the Bank, and he can be champion before the end of the year. No problem with that whatsoever. It's fine. To me, it's fine. I thought that was the most interesting part of the Royal Rumble, because now I want to see where they're going to take this. But WWE has to pay it off, right? You can't sacrifice a talent like Bron Breakker unless it actually has a net positive at the end. So there's a lot on the line. There truly, truly is. But I certainly had fun with it. I don't mind Roman Reigns winning. Roman Reigns versus CM Punk, as long as Roman comes back to TV more regularly, and we have the proper promos that we need. Because if you tell them both they can say whatever they want, oh my gosh, the build for that will be so good. It should probably main event on the Sunday night. I'm not kidding. You have to let them take the gloves off. So once again, it's down to what WWE is going to allow them to do. But I wasn't frustrated with it. What annoyed me more, if I talked about this, was the Gunther thing. I'm going to double down on it. Why did he have to be number 30? You just took something away from Gunther, who's on this retirement racket. I just didn't think he needed to be in that spot. I really didn't. It didn't make any sense to me. Finn Balor could have been in that spot. Finn Balor. Parker was in it. I got no problem with Parker. The person I was with was like, why does a skeleton wrestle? It's the greatest question of all time. Finn Balor could have been in that spot, right? But he was not. I kind of feel like I've skirted over a few things there. So please do forgive me. I thought the men's Royal Rumble was a bit all over the place. I didn't think it was bad. Again, it was the worst Royal Rumble ever. You had high expectations, which I totally understand. And it was a little bit, well, it was lacking in surprises. And you wanted that big pop. That's why we wanted to see Chris Jericho. Because you'd be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. He could turn up on Raw. Let's not forget, it's a very Chris Jericho thing to do. But there was just some ideas. There was a lot of eliminations that just meant nothing. LA Knights meant nothing. Brock Lesnar meant nothing. Obafemi did get thrown out by Brock Lesnar, but didn't really feel like we had a chance to go, oh my gosh, Jey Uso got thrown out by Roman Reigns. Didn't really feel like it meant anything. So it was weird. That's why the Cody one was so good. It's like, oh my gosh, where's this going to go? And what the women did better. Again, Asuka, Kairi Sane, Charlotte, Alexa Bliss. And there was another one that I mentioned that I can't even remember now. But there was stuff that you could see. I have no idea where half the men's roster is now headed. And again, the Rusev and Matt Cardona stuff, and Phoenix, good grief. Phoenix, he got fed to the wolves. It's an interesting jumping of ship. And Penta was in this. Do I have anything to tell you about Penta? No, I don't. But I still enjoyed myself. I want to make that very clear. At no point was it like I'm not having a good time. Sometimes you can still see things live and in action. They don't necessarily work for you, but be like, okay, well, let's just move on to whatever is next. I don't necessarily think it was a good thing overall, but these weren't 2-minute entrances. I think some of them were like 45 seconds, but it did keep the pace up. And it did keep the people I was watching with interesting, who were not even casual fans. They weren't fans at all. So I actually think, in hindsight, that may have been a good idea by WWE to try and lure people in. I enjoyed the Royal Rumble overall. I don't think the men's was executed as well as they wanted. I thought the women's really picked up. Loved AJ Styles versus Gunther and Drew McIntyre versus Sami. They worked super hard. Didn't really entice me in as much as maybe I was expecting. But we'll see what they do on Raw. There's always something you can do in order to pick up the pace. But that's how I felt about it. They are my true thoughts. Now, of course, please do let me know what you thought about the Royal Rumble in the comments below. I'm sure I've said some things like, Simon, how dare you think this way? You can call me out on it. That's the fun thing about all of this. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Click the video on the screen. I'm not going to lie, it's all Royal Rumble stuff you may not care about that we've done recently, but I'll find a video to put up there. Patreon.com/Simon316, GrillOfMine.com/Simon. Go there right now and use my code Simon to get money off. These are good fitness supplements. They will help you in the gym. Otherwise, it's Simon316 on social media, TikTok, Cameo, and Pro Wrestling Tees. Again, links are in the description. I hope you did enjoy it, because it does come around once a year, and not everything has to be perfect for you not to have a good time. That may have made no sense. I don't know. See you soon.